brothers,
Yeah, oh yeah.
and they're older.
Hi.
Good evening, everybody. How's everybody doing today? My name is Rich Cordon with JMC. I'm here on behalf of the applicant, Temple Bethel. Yes,
Ah,
so for these guys, I hope I have enough.
That's okay.
So we'll share.
We can share.
yeah, we're not territorial.
Okay, so what my client's proposing to do is my client is proposing to replace the existing signs on site, which are fairly inadequate. They're having a hard time seeing them. There's a lot of people actually that mistake the.
Looks lopsided too. Looks
Oh,
like
the
it's
existing?
tilted, yeah.
Yeah. They're having a lot of problems with people finding the site. They're running into people coming there. There's a nursery school there. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but they have an existing nursery school there. And they're having problems with people trying to knocking on the doors and trying to get in. And that's a bit of a security issue, unfortunately, these days. So, one of the things that they spoke with the security consultant about is how to help prevent this, and the biggest thing is, and we really need to add some signs because there's not sufficient signage on the road. Since this existing use is an existing non-conforming, the site is operating underneath a special use permit, so anything that pretty much gets done on the property has to go back before the zoning board, the planning board, and the architectural review board, so that everybody gets a little bit of a say on what's going on here. That's the reason that we're, here for a sign permit and get a little bit of feedback from you guys.
And have you been to the zoning?
We've been to the zoning board, we've been to the planning board.
And they're all.
Everybody's pretty much,
Who's your client? Who are you dealing with at Bethel?
dealing with Jennifer Kelly and Jason Stringham, who's one of the operational managers.
Okay, so you're not dealing with anyone there who is a designer or has a design background or anything like that? Like your client is essentially a bureaucrat?
Potentially, they're in the management position on this, on the property.
Hi. We start when we have 3.
I'm sorry.
Because, when they did the renovation project, the guy from the congregation who was in charge of it, had a really strong architectural background, so I'm just kind of curious.
Okay.
Who was doing the approvals from the client's perspective?
I don't know who approved the signs. I know that they brought in a separate sign consultant to actually design the signs.
And you are the sign.
We're the civil
maker.
engineer.
Oh,
I'm
the
not
civil
sign
engineer.
maker. No,
Okay.
we deal with, JMC deals with basically full site stuff. We deal with a lot of entitlements. These sign designers, they really don't.
Right,
good
right,
at
okay.
making presentations, so we help
Alright.
with
So are
that.
these replacing existing ones or are there
Well,
some new ones?
there's an existing there's an existing sign
Like
that's
this one? Okay.
yeah, that's sign one. And that's over here.
Okay.
I have it on the board over here. I'll put it up over here. There's an existing sign over here.
Okay.
Now this sign, it's great. You can see it when you're going,
Yeah.
north on South, or no, you're going south on South Bedford Road this way. But when you're going north on South Bedford Road, you can't see it because,
Yeah.
Okay.
you have houses and trees here.
Right.
So that's the reason that our clients we've proposed to add an additional sign on this side, so that way you can see something when you're going north on the road. And then this third sign is actually an internal sign to the property, and that's basically the only reason that that's there is to help illustrate,
The
a
parking
one-way
and
traffic,
everything,
how
yeah, yeah.
the
Yeah,
cars
yeah.
are gonna go that way.
Yeah.
So the same sign will be on both,
That's, I have them right there.
these will be the same signs?
Those are the proposed sign one and sign two, they're different
Oh, okay.
signs. They're slightly different.
So guys, when the, I don't remember who was here when it happened, but when they did the renovation, this is a Lucon building, and it's not like his greatest work, but it's a work, it's by like America's greatest architect, even if it's not one of his major works. And the guy that they got to do the addition was a very good architect who was a Lucon scholar and a professor at Yale, and I thought that they really went out of their way to do a good job on the renovation and on the addition. And I just don't think this is really up to, the idea of having a 1-inch, sort of weird stone veneer that has no bearing on the rest of the
Well,
project.
that's what, do you have photos of the temple?
I did not take any photos of the temple.
I mean, I'm sure we can find them.
It just, you know, it may from a zoning point of view or from a location point of view, it may be fine, I'm sure they need new signage, blah, 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 but
No, I agree with you, it was the
for
first
like,
thing I.
for an
I-
architectural icon to have this sort of like it's passé by the time it's, you know, it's trendy to the point of being passé by the time it's done, like I just.
Well, I
There's
thought,
some point.
I thought as the sign's independent of anything else, they're probably fine, but knowing the building,
Yeah,
and I can't picture it right now, but knowing
And
the
then, and you
history
know,
of the
and
building,
there's no
they're not
context for it,
quite-
there's no context
not
for
quite
it to have
right.
this. It's not,
that's why I'd like to see
and
pictures
the, you know,
of
like
the
to have a
building.
side that's aluminum and
building?
you're just seeing.
Oh, yeah, I know
think
the
that
building,
the
I know the
aluminum
architect who
bulb,
did it too.
yeah.
No, I mean, I'm really disturbed by you just like layering and icing of stone veneer on just one side of an
It's not him
aluminum sign.
doing it, I mean,
No,
that's what-
for you, I
yeah.
mean, I
The
mean the client.
the reason that it's only on one side is because the back side is essentially gonna be invisible to
Doesn't matter, you
everybody.
can see
No,
the
but you
That's
have
the
it on the
reason
side,
why
you have
not
the side
both
exposed.
sides.
It's really not up to the design standard of the facility that it's making a sign for. And that's why I wanted to know who was, you know, sort of behind approving, how did it get this far? And you're kind of telling me that, you know, some people who just are managers.
I can't say that,
I
I
know,
can't say that,
okay.
I'm sorry, I don't,
It
that,
just
but,
seems,
I
right,
don't think there's any stone.
you know,
it just seems like they
No.
should,
More thoughtful.
It's just
be
not
more thoughtful from a
it's-
design standpoint.
It's not in keeping with the
The side is
design, I
very,
don't
very,
think.
Yeah.
I just don't think it's in
disappointing.
keeping
And
with
plus
the design of
Yeah.
the building at all, it's not in keeping with the design of the
no,
We
building.
but
need to talk to
even
someone
if it
who's
were
a
not,
designer
but
to
at
talk
least
about this.
it had some integrity as
Yeah.
a sign, even
Yeah.
if it was not.
Yeah.
But these aluminum, those two.
well, that's
Those-
that's
those are
that's
going
the
in the
footing,
ground.
that's the footing,
Yeah.
that's gonna be
It's
all
actually
below
just gonna
grade.
sit on
Ju-
a base.
just-
You're gonna
like
have,
it is.
basically, you're
Oh.
gonna see the
So
veneered
they
stone.
basically the side, yeah, the
I mean,
side.
it's a
could be-
problem to talk to you
And
because you're
also
not
the
involved
So
with,
who did the signs?
yeah.
The sign company is the one that designed the signs.
Yeah, they should have a professional
So
designer
they don't
for a-
usually
We need to have,
produce the best
we need to have
product.
FaceTime
then
with someone who has like
I'm gonna be
authority,
brutally
who's
honest with you,
designed.
I'm pretty sure that the temple's gonna pull the application off the table, because they've already spent a ridiculous amount of money on this to get through all the red tape
So
that's
I
been
see
passed.
where they copied it from. They have a big wall there that's
Yeah.
stone,
They do.
that's exactly like
That was
this.
one of
But
the
the
new walls,
font,
right?
the
Yeah.
font
No, the
also-
font's different.
The font
I
is
mean,
not,
font
I'm
is
sure we
different.
can talk to them about adjusting the font, but
the
they're
font
not
is
gonna
also
be,
kind of,
Okay,
for them
got
to
it.
have to bring on
But
an
that's where it
additional.
came
Yeah, that's where it came from, it's not out of
So,
nowhere.
yeah,
so maybe
yeah,
they
yeah.
could, maybe they could cover this whole thing in veneer
side.
and change,
I'm
and change the font.
Do the sides, cover the
Okay.
sides and
Yeah.
cover the top.
That I'm positive that they would be amicable to
Okay.
covering the sides, and potentially, if you would like, we can maybe talk to them about matching the same font that they have on the building.
Yeah, that would be
Well,
great.
it's the, I mean,
What is it?
it's a little hard to tell because it's at an angle here, but the kerning, the letter spacing is different.
Yeah,
Now
let's
this
see
has
on
a light,
this
are they
edition.
planning on putting any?
They are gonna do a small light, but the light,
Similar to this
Yeah, that's
probably.
I can't tell. No, it's actually gonna be a ground light. It's gonna be
Oh,
a
oh,
small
it's gonna
ground
be out.
light,
It's gonna be
instead of
out.
something that's
Okay,
gonna be
yeah,
out there
okay.
and obtrusive, and it's going to be shut off, the agreement with the planning board was that it would be shut off an hour after an event.
Here's a
And you,
slightly
Instead of
as
better-
the civil engineer are gonna make sure it's not pointing in people's faces as you're,
Exactly, that's,
Here's a better
that
photo of
that
it.
bothers me some
yeah,
places.
and we don't wanna just
But even
light
like
it up
the
and
cap,
have it.
it's
Thank
gonna
you
go
for
upwards.
getting that up.
It's gonna be a small uplight that's basically gonna be illuminating the sign, we're gonna try to make sure that when we place that and aim
Should be
it, that
really
it's
down.
not gonna be.
But
it's,
even for
uh,
instance, like if they look at
skybox.
this image, and it's a little hard to tell, but there's some kind of cap here,
yeah.
and it doesn't appear to be, it just seems flat.
No, I would put a cap on it, cause also
Yeah, of course. See,
you wanna
this is-
protect, yeah.
This is what they
Yeah,
have,
I
so
would
it's
do
a little
that.
nicer.
Yeah, the
So I'm gonna take down your comments. You're interested in
Well, they
seeing,
should just try to match this a little bit more.
The font.
The nice thing about this also is, oh, there's a better picture, there's a lot of space around the sign itself,
Yeah.
and this is so tight.
well, okay, the reason that it's
I
so
mean, these are
tight-
probably, this sign probably can't go any bigger, right?
It can't go any bigger. We would have loved for it to go bigger, but there's substantial zoning issues as
Yeah.
far as the size of the sign. For the size of the sign in this residential district is 10 square feet. I don't have to tell you guys that 10 square feet is not sufficient for a sign for a temple.
Well, I think
For the danger.
So that it feels a little bit more massive, like a masonry, not you know, just a layer of masonry.
Right, I think
these
that-
are veneer, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's veneer, it's
Yeah,
just
it
like
must-
paint.
Yeah.
So definitely wrap the
Well, it's not
sides and.
just like paint, I mean, there's some nice stone
No, I
veneers.
know, I
Wrap
went on
the
to
sides
look
and
at
wrap
it, it's
the
really
back.
small.
So that it feels like it's a
It's
masonry
okay, it's okay.
structure
It's
It
okay.
looks like real stone.
Yeah.
on a pedestal, that's okay.
And then put a coping cap on top of it that
And what
matches
about
this,
this return here?
and that's what we're saying.
Yeah.
No, there should
Bring
be
the stone.
something, okay.
Yeah, we were looking for more of a, and yeah, without a doubt, I'm positive that they were talking about putting a back on the sign that's in the
And
proposed
these look
sign state.
deeper than half an inch.
Yeah, I think that it's a scale thing, you know, this is very small
Yeah.
and that's big, and the question is really whether
But
you
half
want-
an inch is
That's pretty,
I know,
is
I know.
no,
nothing.
that's pretty thick
It
for the
is,
thickness of the
but-
letter. Oh, they're not as thick as that.
I mean, those
Those
are
are
kind
like
of
channel,
nice,
those are
'cause
like
they're-
channel letters.
It's a different scale
Yeah.
also.
Yeah,
So I'll
But
have,
it's
I'll
like
have,
half
I'll
an
have
inch.
them look at making that a little bit thicker.
Okay.
okay.
Put a coping cap on it, a dark bronze coping cap, I think, to match the,
Yeah,
match
just
the
to
stone
match
wall in
what they
there.
have here.
Yeah,
Okay.
And,
that should be
uh,
the easiest thing.
I would like the stone to have real cut corners rather than just kind of butting the stone veneer. I think, you know, most stone companies make special corners, it looks like this one has special corners.
Okay.
So when you turn the corner, it's just not, you don't have a
Yeah.
line down the
You
middle.
don't see the
Yeah,
the
no, I
mortar
understand.
that you use,
It's,
the.
I mean, these are, yeah, this
stick
is
it
a
on
graphical
now.
representation, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So if we hadn't pulled this up, you would have been
I
going, they
would've
would have been going
been-
back to the drawing board.
Well,
Yeah.
good for
Exactly.
you.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Thank
no,
you
I'm
very
just,
much.
I'm not
Thank
saying
you.
that,
Thank you
I'm
very
saying,
much.
I'm just saying
Yeah,
I
it's-
didn't, I
it's much
apologize,
better
like
to
I said,
have
a lot of
more
times we have an
materials.
architect on the projects and the
Yeah, yeah.
architects come on here and they'll discuss this with you guys a little bit more, as
Yeah,
opposed
but
to.
yeah, I mean, it's, you know, we're lecturing you isn't doing anyone any good, it's just so much better when the designer
Yeah.
shows up and tells us what's going on, so.
Understood.
Thank
So-
you again, Anne.
The next
Wow,
steps,
yeah, it's
wh-
not me, but-
are you guys content with us, well, you're gonna submit a memo to the zoning board. Based on these comments, and we're gonna basically express, respond to these comments to the zoning board, right? Or should we come back, I don't know.
That I don't-
Well, don't we
I'm not
still-
sure because you're really here for a referral
Referral to the zoning
to
board,
the
yeah.
zoning board, but you also applied for the sign already. So do you want him to come back with the changes?
Yeah.
He's going to the zoning board October 28th. Do you then want him to come back with the revised changes?
I think so,
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Okay.
that would be November 6th, so I'll put you on the
November 6th.
November 6th agenda.
Thank you. And that's 8:00. Thank you all, appreciate it.
you.
Thank you. You showing the outfit?
What, is she not?
No, I just didn't see it, no, I didn't see her outfit.
Oh,
But I did.
oh, maybe she is.
Did you say Shona was not here?
I didn't see her, but I could be wrong, she could have been in the ladies' room, I don't know.
Shona, with Madison. 41.
Or maybe just the client's coming.
Yeah, that could be it too.
Once again, thank you, Julie.
I heard it.
Looks like a house.
North Way.
Addition.
Hi, Shauna. Hi. Before we start quickly, the movie score was amazing.
You're too kind. You're so
It was beautiful.
Thank you, that is so kind, thank you. We're all talking about knees, hips, like, we're all getting older.
Oh,
There's one knee, three hips, and one knee.
I got both, hip and a knee.
Did you get a knee replacement?
No, I know.
I'm terrified. Excuse me, I'm sorry, I'm Shauna McManus, thank you so much for seeing me. Hi, I'm Shauna. Hi, thank you so much for seeing me. Tiny job on North Way in Tuckahoe, kind of behind the high school. It's here. This is my Google map, and these are my surrounding houses. The renovation is. This is their house. It's densely wooded. I'm sorry. Here. Well, look at this one. Densely wooded. They have like a terrace off their kitchen dining. That's pretty much the same footprint. It's pretty much the same footprint of what we want to do, and they want to add a small addition on the lowest floor, on the basement level, for a home office and a workout space. And it's totally wooded around here, so you probably will never even see this thing. So it's in the back, on the lowest level, on a lower, like way down.
Where's the deck?
Oh, this is the deck.
But on the plan.
Oh, the deck, there's probably a demo plan. The deck is right here.
Oh, so it's on.
They're gonna
where?
rip
On
the deck
same-
out,
okay.
and the deck is gonna reappear as the roof of a single-story addition, only on the third floor, only on the lowest level. So it's gonna go from grade up to the finished floor plate of the first floor, actually 6 inches
So it's
below.
a basement addition.
It's a basement
It's a
addition.
basement
It's a
addition.
basement addition. It's
With-
12 inches. It's
with
12
a
feet
deck
deep.
on top.
It's 45 feet wide, and it's behind the house.
Very nice.
Unfortunately, for my client, it's gonna need a zoning variance because here's my side yard setback. So even though they have a ton of property, and even though it's densely wooded, they're gonna need to go for a variance. Even though the house itself is pre-existing non-conforming, the deck itself is pre-existing non-conforming. So I don't know how they'll rule, but we're gonna be looking for a variance to put a basement addition, replacing the existing deck in the same
Even
footprint.
if you already
The same
have
amount of-
this footprint.
It's the same amount of non-conformity is basically what we're gonna ask for. I shouldn't have gotten there, that's kind of a tangent. I just wanna talk to you about this. The house is pretty straightforward. It looks like this. They're gonna put, so it's shingles, sort of cedary shakes. And this is the deck, as per your question. This is the proposed addition. Exercise, office, with a capacity in case the children are noisy or in case the office is noisy, so sort of have 2 pocket doors. And basically 2 sets of windows, 3 sets of double windows and a door out to their existing, they have a terrace, they have a nice terrace. They have a really beautiful actually lot. It's really pretty. It falls down, but it's really quite pretty. This is the reappearing deck, which is the roof of our addition so that they can still come out and hang and cook and do whatever they do. Sorry, it's electric. Section. We're gonna be dropping down 2 steps to try to get some head height. The existing head height in the basement's super tiny. It's super tiny, so we're gonna drop down 2 feet. And we're gonna try and frame the roof of the addition with LVL, 7¼ inch LVL, super thin. Just trying to get a little bit of workable headroom. It's kind of an expensive addition, so we're trying to get an 8-foot ceiling. And here, let me show you what the elevations look like. This is this lovely back elevation. This is what we're doing. Hi.
Please continue.
Oh, no. This is the addition. 3 sets of windows. They have many kinds of windows, so we just chose something that was similar to what they have, kind of a variation of their 6/6s and their 8/8s. We got 8/1s. And then one other thing was we wanted to replace a door to a pretty dark and unpleasant laundry room. So we were gonna add a 3/4 view glass door there just to grab some light into there. This is all existing, this is me, and honestly, I don't really know what else.
And you're putting shakes on it?
Yeah, we're gonna match the existing
Match
sign
the house.
throughout. So that's our situation here. Oh, this is, they wanted to put a covered entry. Just a simple covered entry on the front, right now it's naked, it's kind of, and they wanna add a covered entry.
Oh, we should probably see it.
Oh, yeah, so sorry.
Oh, okay.
Here, basically, covered entry, 2 columns, they have a stoop, we're gonna extend the stoop 12 inches, or I think the stoop right now comes to here. Extend it a little bit so that we have just a simple curved piece, portico, 2 columns. It's really as straightforward. It says traditional, as the house is, and the neighborhood is.
It's good to me.
Yep, I'm fine with it.
Thank you guys, thank you so much for your
I haven't
time.
seen you here in a long time. Are you
I
from Brooklyn?
know, I'm living in Brooklyn, yeah, I took a meals
So that was
permit.
Oh,
Meals
you
in LA,
did?
yeah, I have a really nice life, but they're all gone,
So this is a schlep. I know.
they're all gone, everybody's gone.
Who's on?
She's
She's in Berlin.
Germany or something.
She moved to Berlin, and no one's coming back. I have this 4-bedroom apartment in Williamsburg. This is, I apologize.
We haven't caught up in a long time.
Thinking, a homestead.
Yeah, I follow them all on Instagram,
Yeah,
so
and
I
there's
see
nobody.
what they're all up to.
Everybody's really great. Thank you so
Good.
much for your time, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
I'll
Shauna.
see you again, I guess, cause I have to go for variance, so I appreciate that. So nice to meet you.
Yeah.
Moving to Ridgefield. You are, I can't wait.
So she has to look at it. Yeah, right, right.
Say hi to everyone.
I will, and thank you guys, thanks so much for your time.
Oh.
Here you go.
Do you wanna throw those to me?
Thank you.
Yeah.
You have the stuff, right?
What's that?
You have my stuff, right? I mean, I
Yeah.
dropped it, okay, good. 'Cause I have nothing. And everybody's coming with a lot of stuff. And I don't have anything.
Hi.
How are you? But I do have the signed papers.
Wait, what are we doing?
So I'm moving.
You're moving.
Yes, I'm moving from, you were actually on the board, I think, when I opened,
Yeah.
right?
Still, I've been on it
So
a
yeah,
long
I'm
time,
moving
yeah.
down to 14.
So this is what it looks
So where are you
It's-
moving? Where the
it's-
ice cream shop was?
Scoops.
Yeah.
So everything's the same.
And you were by
By
Rite Aid?
by Donna, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
What's your name?
Everything's the same.
Adina,
Last name?
Olin, O-L-A-N.
It's the same exact sign.
Yeah,
So
it's
the
the same
material is,
Steel, it's like metal.
It's,
uh-huh.
yeah. It's the
You're-
same
oh,
sign that
you're-
I had.
You're dismounting it and putting it.
Oh, it's the exact same sign
Yeah.
that's
Exact
moving.
same
Like really the exact same.
It's really the exact same
Not
sign.
We're moving it 100 yards
It
down the road.
actually,
You want this?
it actually fits and everything? I mean,
Yeah.
it works?
Yeah, it works.
Cause this place seems bigger.
It's,
Or no?
but it
Yeah,
works
but you
in.
sort of have it as a banner high.
It's
Right.
a standard size sign, like right now it's above Donna Hair Design sign, which is a little higher, but
And
it's
it must have held up well,
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah. Kudos to the sign guy.
that's what we hired Sinorama for. Sinorama's supposed to figure it out, what are you gonna say?
Yeah.
It's too small, they didn't say that, it looks good.
Yeah,
We love the sign,
saves me money making a new one.
served us well, it's been approved, it's a sign.
We can't disagree.
Has the name of our business on it?
We don't like it anymore.
Right, you approved it once before.
Yeah, we changed our
You
mind.
did approve it once before,
May I see what was submitted, do you mind?
cause he didn't see it.
I didn't see it. I just-
He may not approve it.
Right.
Yeah. Yep.
And
That's-
these are there,
that's
yeah.
the sign. So they have not illuminated.
Yeah.
If we were to illuminate it, do we have to come back before you guys?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see the light fixtures.
Okay.
Okay,
we may wanna.
Would they be like goosenecks or something like?
I don't know, Modern Blow Dry has theirs lit. So I mean, if you wanted, we could make
Not
it.
not every storefront is lit.
But it doesn't
so-
have to match,
Right.
I mean,
No, no.
it's not, you know, it's not like we want a parade of the same gooseneck lamp all through town,
Good,
you know.
right,
I just
okay.
don't know what
You have
they
any other ideas? Yeah.
So you just don't want like
It's a nice
flashing neon outside.
Yeah, I don't think you're allowed. Even if we wanted it.
Okay.
Not very yogic.
No.
So is that, can we, okay, so is that a whole other permit or that would hold
Yeah,
up this
well,
one?
it would be, yeah.
I mean, so just, we'd have to come back and
Yeah.
We'd have to
show
just
it
come
to
back to
you.
light, so we're
Okay.
not sure if we wanna light it yet, we may.
Okay.
But it
Are
would
At
you
least you
open
can
at
put that
night?
up.
Right, I could definitely put this up
Yeah.
to
Are
start.
you open at night?
Yes. So I would want it
You
lit
probably
up.
want some.
Yeah,
I wonder what they're even doing.
I mean, it gets dark at 6:30 now,
Right.
so.
Street
Right.
lights and stuff, it's hard to imagine what.
And right-
What are
maybe
they
we'll-
doing?
Maybe we'll wait and see what everything's gonna look
Oh,
like
well,
when
that
it's
could be
done.
weird.
Is the road done?
it could be years, it's already been years.
Is the road paved, is that done, is that it?
But I did
No,
look
road's
at
not
it,
paved
it
yet.
would probably be good to
Paved,
but I don't know if that's the plan.
No, the final payment is like the last thing, it's like in November or something.
Yeah,
Oh,
because
so
I
they
have
have
to
to
do
do
it
it
that
before.
late.
Okay, great.
They're not
Freeze?
across,
Yeah.
in that whole
Yeah, they
upper-
better hurry.
Yeah, they better.
Doesn't look that
What?
it has to, I mean, the other, some of the others have
It's been like
lights.
2 years I've been driving that crap. And they, when they cut the road, they leave like a 2 and a quarter, 2
But
and a
they're,
half.
I don't
they
know,
are gonna
let's
do the
not
whole
go
road,
by
the
that.
whole thing is gonna be.
So,
I want to have better karma.
Oh, yeah. Not that they're.
Yeah.
All set?
Yep.
Thank you very much,
Thank you very much.
everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
when they bring it
You're
up.
welcome.
Yeah.
Seven Karen?
Things like signs.
I look at it, and it's
It's fine, yeah. They're just matching lenses now. There's no pick apart. What's that?
Oh, it's an awesome town.
All this, this whole
Some pictures for you. I'm Lane Bonadies, representing the builder.
Sorry, what's your name?
Lane Bonadies, B-O-N-A-D-I-E-S.
So are we on Carriage Hill?
Yes. Okay, and I'm Bill Pfaff, architect for the plans.
Oh, okay.
And Mario is the owner of
Oh, hi.
Uh,
Who's leading
Who's
leading the meeting?
Okay, yeah, Bill, you can take over. Okay, well, I guess we'll talk over these plans here. So, the client has an existing house, it's on 1 acre of land. They wanted to, they were looking to make a modest addition to the house. This is about 500 square feet, 1 story. It expands off the back and creates additional family room space, and kind of frames the backyard. It's totally at the back of the house, so there's no view of what's being proposed from Carriage Hill Drive, Carriage Hill Road.
Awesome.
This is Ossamy.
Can you wanna show us the house and the neighborhood and stuff?
I can't speak so much to the neighbor's house, but I'll take you through the existing
Alright,
house.
so just so you see, it's A, B, C, D, just so you see. Alright, so let's, you got the front A, and then A is across the street also, so the front of the house and the neighbors. So that's why A, B, B, C, C, D, D.
Okay.
So we're coming off this part of the house, so we're coming off back there with the addition. In terms of just a quick look at the plan, is the main level of the house. So it comes off the back this way. It takes a jog to respect the setback lines for the property. And it doesn't connect at this point because this part of the house is steps up, and they wanted really continuous space that was all at one level. So it it comes off here and then again, as I said, kind of frames the yard that way.
So I'm sorry, that's gonna be a new family room, and I just can't.
It's fairly straightforward in terms of coming off perpendicular to this house, to the existing house. This part of it was these roof slopes pick up the existing roof slopes that are carried throughout. It's this part of it is centered on this part of the house, so it comes like this, although it cuts in, but the ridge line is centered on this, and you know, of course, perpendicular to the roof slopes that are here. This hallway that connects over, or that connects this floor level to this floor level, has its own slope. It's set back, but it's sloped, dropped down a little bit and sloped so that it doesn't interfere with the existing bedroom windows that are up there.
You said the part that it's butting up against on this bottom elevation was higher?
The floor level, the floor level.
Oh, the floor
is-
level's
yeah,
higher,
right.
oh.
When you go in the house, that whole area steps up,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
I think 3 risers, 3 steps. So, so that's, you know, that's why we're connecting, we're kind of coming over and then connecting that like that. So, I have an elevation of the front part of the house, although you see it in the photographs. I mean, basically, kind of isolated all of the elevations on 11 by 17s, but, so this would constitute all of the elevations of the house, and again, from the front, it's just what's there is what's
Yeah,
there.
appreciate you doing that.
Sure. And then again, what's, new construction is highlighted, and then just the existing house is just in a kind of ghosted in behind it. And actually on these elevations, picked up on these elevations, in terms of when it was drawn here, not all the windows were shown because it was really, the intent was just to show the new construction. But in terms of architectural review, these highlighted a little bit more in terms of showing,
Well, we actually, we require it, but, so the blank wall over there, that's,
What is that?
what's that blank?
the blank wall, there is a window, there's a little window there. The property slopes up here, it's wooded, slopes up here, there's a house back here. And I guess I could almost let maybe Mara speak, but the clients basically sort of need to have windows there facing in that
Can you
direction.
just show us where that is on the plan, or show me, just
Sure.
where that is on the plan?
Sure,
No, on
that's
the-
here, but on the floor plan,
Yeah.
so that's
right
this
there, okay.
elevation here. And one slight change, you'll see that window, at one, on these elevations that you have here, in a window that was centered here, kind of centered in this hallway, but we just as a, basically a change that they like to do, they just really wanted just a smaller window more in this area. So, and just we
So
didn't-
this is accurate?
That's
That's
accurate,
okay.
right, that elevation updates. That elevation, updates that elevation. So, I guess I'll just, that's an overview, I guess I'll open up to whatever came to this sense.
So you're gonna update,
I would
Plans.
update these
Oh, okay.
plans, yes, right.
I'm generally fine with it, except that the blank wall, which is facing east, it's gonna miss some of the sun in the morning, and I think it's gonna feel rather dark in that space, if that's east, it's gonna face
Right, I mean,
north.
I mean, I understand, it's actually, I think it's west, cause you're just, you know, the front, yeah, so.
So that's, oh, I'm sorry, you say east elevation, but you say west elevation.
Yeah, I'm sorry, that's,
Okay.
yeah.
Well,
my
east or
mistake.
west, you're missing some
I mean, I would agree.
some sun on that part, and I really think the room would benefit from having another window, but also I think, but our purview is
Yeah.
to avoid architecture that looks, you know, unfinished, warehouse-like, and I think that's what the issue is here. You've done a good job on the other elevations, it seems like you just gave up on this side.
I think it was more per client direction on that side, but with the understanding that this slopes up, so I think if.
It's like a wall almost,
It slopes up, it's wooded, and so that would be more of a westerly sun that probably cuts off.
I see the photos.
Yep.
It's here.
Yeah, I mean, it's fair would be right here.
I mean, still, it looks like it would be visible.
Yeah, you don't
Someone
wanna-
standing
you don't
there.
want a blank
I think
wall
you
on
should
the
put-
side of your house.
Yeah, I
It
think
just-
we would really,
It doesn't even have to.
see that hill, I mean, you can barely walk up it, it's like a mountain.
doesn't matter. You
And
it's still,
the trees, there's no sun that comes through.
Daylight is
But it's
always
all-
better.
Might
in
be
the
nice
winter,
to-
the trees
I
are.
would say maybe a high window.
You could do a high window,
Just
something that's more of
something.
an accent,
Just
like
something
that,
to
something,
break that
you know, a
solid
clerestory
mass.
window could be quite
Maybe
nice.
really nice.
There.
Yeah.
So, I think,
If you were to just sort of draw it in, we could approve you tonight. Like if you guys wanna just sort of talk about it and come in after
And
the
you can
next
just
one.
bring it in afterwards.
Yeah.
Is he making the changes on both of these plans?
Well, he needs to fix
I-
these. These can't be submitted, they're not.
These would be updated, these elevations here represent, you know, current elevations.
Right.
So
And
if we
those
sketched
plans do
over it, I guess I
not.
would sketch over this.
Yeah,
Certainly,
yeah.
whatever we submit to the building department will be in this format.
Do you have two sets of, or?
I do,
Yeah, there
I
are
do.
several sets.
Yeah, there's a couple of, there's,
There's,
I think we organize these. Let's see. These two we don't So if we.
Can I just see those?
Sure.
So this one.
it's facing. Yeah, it's cool. So that's what's on this.
So, what is this now? 8/8.
They're all good.
Well, in the front, but in the back,
6/6.
yeah.
I think this is,
But in the
it's
back,
it's
it's-
wider too.
Oh, why is it, you're talking about the
This window,
grillage
yes,
on
on
the
this
window
window.
that we have.
Cause all these,
Or 6/6.
Yeah.
I think because it got
Or-
wider.
Sure.
are they?
I mean, we could go to that, these windows are wider
They're not-
than what's
they're
shown
no,
here,
they're
or
just-
than the existing windows?
No, in the back, they're not 6/6, they're just,
Yeah, they're just,
Oh, yeah,
odd.
those. I thought I saw, I
no,
thought I saw mine.
no, they have no buttons on the
Oh.
back, so
Right.
this one
Right.
shouldn't. Or is there a reason that it does?
I think it's a nicer detail if you're just sort of following the plan.
But it's the only one in the whole back.
Yeah, but, you know, that, if
No,
there
you
were
guys
ever.
want- you guys want on the
It
side.
feels like it, just that slight little bit of detail feels like it warms it up a little bit.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I would keep it,
Alright.
you have the elevation, you have windows on this side too, right?
Yeah,
Yes.
And you're doing
Yeah,
an 8/8
there.
there too? Oh, yeah,
Right,
okay, okay.
right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah,
And again, these windows are actually wider windows than what we see on the front.
otherwise
Yeah.
the spacing would be too wide.
Right.
do you wanna take that
Okay.
outside and talk to your
Sure.
client about that, and then
Sure.
we'll go to the next person?
And
And you
can
come back
bring
after?
Do you want to look at the roof?
Oh,
Is there,
let me see, hang on, I'm stickler for roof. So that's just a cricket to keep it away
Yes,
from the side?
right, right.
And then
We're cricketing down to, yeah.
on the sign that's into the property further.
So you're gonna make the changes on the inside?
Yes.
Alright, so I'll take this back.
That's like, and what happens if you go knock down that car or something. There's a basic sign, you know?
okay, this one is the last one.
Yeah, we're gonna sign the contract tomorrow.
So
Was it raised?
Soon?
It was right under the thing, there's just a bunch of items. You know, they're doing what we want them to do, you know, we ask all these ones, leaks, yeah. So what? Moving to Richfield, Connecticut. And, my house here is going on the market on Monday.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's like, and that already have something over there. Have a look at that.
Hello.
Good evening.
Oh, Petersville, so which one is this?
27.
This is the house?
No,
Oh,
this is
that-
the subject house. It is
oh,
the
that's-
brown
okay.
shingle
Where is that?
Normandy style. It is
That's
literally,
deeper into
if this
the-
is the very end of the cul-de-sac,
Oh,
it's
the
the
one
third
before,
of
yeah.
the end
Oh,
half.
yeah, I never go
Okay,
past
yeah,
that.
yeah.
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 Okay.
So,
Well, now I never go.
so my client, I'm Scott Hirsch, I'm the architect of record. The client, the Kreisbergs, bought the home from the technically second owner, but it's effectively the family lived in the house since it had been constructed. I think it was sold a year after it was built. So we've been speculating, because the house feels very custom in particular, if the family who constructed the house in '95 built it or if it was a builder on spec. Our client is seeking to do a refresh, and the reason why I actually pulled out my ARB sheet, we're trying a slightly different setup. The vegetation on the front of our house is rather overgrown, making it somewhat difficult to see what we see as being one of the primary struggles of the front facade, which is this arched opening that is offset with the door offset within it. So I don't know if the vegetation that you see all along the front of the house.
Is that the front door?
Yeah, it's offset. Everything about
Oh,
it's
that's the
offset.
front door.
That is the main entrance. You walk up past the house,
You can't
past
even
all the
see it, you can't
trees,
even see
and
it.
then you enter it. And it's a double height entry with no light. And so the owners brought my firm in prior to buying the house, and they said, just tell me we can fix this front entry. And I said, well, you know, tell me what a budget looks like, but yes, I'm sure there's something that could be done. And so what you're looking at here, these are the existing front and south elevation, which is kind of the approach coming up Petersville. And so what we're proposing to do is to speak to this other vernacular that they've introduced of like the broken eave with the small window, and introduce a new centered opening above a slightly shifted front door. The challenge on the inside of this house is that there's a very tight switchback open staircase behind the wall. So what we're doing is we're taking the window of the powder room and replicating it as an opening, and then creating a high opening with an additional shed with metal on it to create a little bit more depth in what's otherwise a very long and flat facade. In addition to that, the house has almost no trim, so a lot of the windows are suffering from that. So we are seeking to introduce a new panel detail around what we've affectionately called the turret. It's the dining room. And then taking that language onto another part of the flat front facade, which is our family room, by replicating the window size and configuration that is there with another panel around it as well.
Is that new construction there? No.
No,
No,
this
it's
is,
just
we are
trimming
not
it down,
changing your
yeah.
footprint, it's literally a shed and a shed and some house.
It's behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah, they didn't put many windows on that
No,
side of
and
it.
the head heights are 6'3". It's very odd. The doors are 7 to 8 feet. These square windows are at 6'3".
I'm 6'2".
Yeah, so when you so when you walk into it, I'm 6 feet. Like I'm at, and so we and then in the dining room, the existing windows, they purposely separated the transoms, but the head of this window does not align with that. It's odd, but we're not replacing all the windows. This is actually a nice detail inside the square windows, which is why we chose to take that language here. Beyond that, the house felt like it had no way of announcing this is the entryway, so.
Could I just, wait to see that?
Yeah, well, with the glosses, Challenge. That's a lot of blank wall.
Mm-hmm.
That's why they put on that shrubbery there.
This is gonna say.
It's a shame, they actually,
This is what they do over.
Yeah, that's not,
Wow.
well,
And I know, it's
So
not
you're only
Not his
changing this
fault.
facade?
just this,
Right.
right?
Just
Just the
kind of this area?
entryway.
right, and
Yeah.
the turret and the window
New
that
window
is
on
to
the
the
side.
right of it, because they have 6 air conditioning units, gas meter and electric meter in front of the garage, which is that other wall that you've all been pointing to. So when you arrive at the house, the first thing you see are 6 air conditioning units, a gas meter and an electric panel.
And the eaves are really almost non-existent, or is that?
Yeah, we have.
Really?
So we're changing the roof, and because there are a ton of flashing issues.
So like this is accurate, there's
Yeah, so we actually wound up modeling this house in Revit because we couldn't understand the way it was working. Like there is a very pretty hand-drawn set of the house, but it wasn't, we measured it, we were there, like the whole head height thing, I know the 6'3" because the number of times I said, how tall are the doors? What's the head height of the window?
Well,
You couldn't
95,
tell.
none of us were here.
Yeah.
when they built
But
it.
interestingly, it's a courtyard house, it's a really pretty.
Well, the street's beautiful.
Right, and inside, and so they've taken us in, we bought the ugly house on the street. And so I said, what you just actually said, I don't know how many people come down this far. Which doesn't really answer the question, but speaks to that comment. So,
Oh, fine
Seems
with it.
reasonable,
Looks-
yeah.
looks medium brick.
So is it it's a metal
yes, so
copper
we,
roof or
yeah,
something?
so we're gonna give
This
you,
is story.
Yeah.
Don't tell us.
So we have a French roof,
as you can see, like,
16,
this is that
so
house.
I never went
Door.
past
Yeah.
16.
Yeah, so we're gonna do a metal roof,
But, oh,
held up,
Yeah, right was the one next to her.
and then
this is
the
our
other
new
one,
alignment.
guy who was
I'm
down
flipping to the
for it.
detail. We did a little section detail to show you that they'll let the copper up on top
Okay.
and the brackets that are holding it up.
Scott?
I acknowledged this. I acknowledged, I realized that
No.
Nicholas, who I
No.
wanted to have with me tonight, had called us, it's gonna be
during the same time.
lead coated copper.
Robin, Blake,
Should we have them cross it out?
John.
What
John.
the material's gonna be.
Versus what is the animal?
No, not
We
Buffalo.
have, we have aluminum on the shed, I noticed earlier today, and I said I'd like for it to be lead coat copper. What I can do, if you wouldn't mind, is because we're between 2 builders right now. Can we identify with sample? I'm happy to do so, I don't feel right telling you, cause I know that this is gonna come up in
Yeah.
conversation this
Yeah.
week. But they actually
Are you
are.
gonna
They've been
use
determined
some
for
of,
because, oh, sorry.
are you gonna expose any of the other flashing anywhere else?
It's like a $60,000 roof job.
There was another person.
It's cause the turrets and they actually hung the shingles almost into the gutters. It's very odd the way it was done.
So,
So is there copy anywhere else?
it's amazing
Not visible, you
much-
wouldn't see
Yeah,
it,
okay.
like
what a
there's
house
nothing
can
to see.
absorb.
So,
Eric McLean.
you see like that, you see the way like it hugs.
Yeah.
Literally they hug. It's actually they're
And the guttering's just painted
Yeah.
the same color
yeah,
as
see,
the.
you see how shallow that is?
Yeah.
It's So they're actually opting to, I wasn't sure if we were gonna be here because they're opting not to touch the master bathroom in order to fix this front, because
Text.
Mrs. Kreisberg really was upset about the front. So we're excited to see it, hopefully fresh. I'm happy to. Thank you. Thanks for coming out in the storm.
Oh, that was the thing that you wanted us to look
Yeah,
at.
you did.
That's what
She didn't look at it.
I forgot.
Good night, everybody.
Night.
Night.
So is he coming back or is he gonna write that?
I think he was gonna come back.
Okay.
Really, she's so prompt.
Huh?
This is driving me crazy. I can picture him.
Huh, I wonder who you mean, I thought he lived on the street.
He lived like
Just a little
2-3
straight.
doors down. His wife belonged to the church that we now belongs to.
Yeah, the Congregational
Yeah.
Church.
When I started here in 08, it was John, Bob, and Elise, and I forgot the fourth person. Barbara was the supervisor.
Barbara was supervisor.
I can't remember the first.
I come in your house, I guess it's what the TV is gonna be so small, I find.
Okay, so
better.
Oh, that was nice.
these
Oh,
look a
wow.
little bigger,
You
but
went-
this is an Anderson, it's on the window chart, it's basically 2 by 2. So it's a square window awning. So we would take 4 of these and just, maybe, set them on the high side, but just group them like that, center that, on the
Want to
wall.
match their head height, no?
They'll be centered, yeah, they would be centered,
With that one.
right, just, they would be centered with that, so, I mean, how does that,
Looks good to me.
yeah, I mean, I think
He'll
it
be
looks pretty
happy,
decent.
it'll be so
Wanna
pretty.
just sign that?
Sure,
Did you sign them?
sure.
Jason's favorite.
So you prefer one that
Ah, very good.
And then what, this stays here?
height?
But Robin was
So
still,
let me just take a picture of it.
Robin and Elise were still.
That was in 12,
Oh.
2012.
But wasn't Robin
Yeah.
and Elise, they were all still on?
There was 3 on.
Mike
He was the new
Wolfenson.
one. That was the one in 2000.
Did you do 2 copies or just the one?
I just did the one, but
That's the
do you
problem
need, do you
leaving
need
this
2
town.
or?
Well, I don't know, this is a little, you're not handing in the actual drawings, you're kind of.
I just need something so that when you give in the new plan, Tom knows what
Because
you guys would
you can
read.
take this, I'll just take a
After
picture of it.
25 years.
Yeah, I need to keep that.
Right,
Yeah.
sure.
Okay.
Yeah, that's exactly why. Exactly. My husband and I are going on a solo adventure this time. I do have dogs. They're gonna love this. They're gonna think they're living in the park.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah, so,
Could be. So,
right, but you just need that drawing, right?
Yeah,
That's the one that changes.
everything else is the
Good.
same.
And I have it,
They
so
have
I'll
nothing.
just
I'm
pick it
happy
up
to
from.
oblige.
Okay.
The guy I'm buying the house from is an architect who's on the ARB there.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Okay, good, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
I
you.
have no idea, I'm getting divorced.
No, no, we got
I need one more.
Oh,
But, I haven't had any communication.
no, you're good.
But, I did Google him, I know he actually works with, someone who used to work for me, he's partners with someone too.
So this
Which
is
really
not an
weird.
application, it's more of an informal review
Yeah.
for financial reasons, they kinda just wanna get,
So
Some
whatever we
direction,
say,
yeah.
do they have to come back if we don't like something?
well, yeah, because it's not a formal submission.
Okay.
Okay,
They-
they're
before-
just getting their pulse.
Yeah,
Oh,
something to do with a bond and before they financially put any more money in, they wanna get some direction.
Okay.
Good evening.
Hello.
This is a informal situation. The planning board has approved this. We're finishing all the paperwork with the planning board.
Good to see you.
This is Ed Frank, he's another commissioner.
Hi.
I'm Eric Nicolason, I'm the chairman of the board. Basically, the planning board has approved everything. We're now wrapping up all the easements and all the rest of that stuff as far as that's concerned. The law says that what we have to do is come before you on a formal basis after we have the bond issue and after we're going for a building permit. What we wanna make sure is there's nothing that really upsets you before we go for final plans and then go out for a bond issue and then come back and start fighting with you because you wanna make a change. So this is a rendering,
I'm gonna flip it, yeah, this one.
So this is at the same
same location, we already,
location.
we own the lot.
Yeah, that's the existing there.
We own the lot next door,
Oh,
that's already paid for, the
is
building
that
there.
an empty lot?
The animal hospital has been torn down, all the land has been environmentally cleaned up, all the soil pollution and everything else has been removed as far as that's concerned, so it's a unoccupied plot at this particular point. And what I have here is assorted sketches of showing the design of the building. And then I also have detailed maps, if anybody wants to look at them, of the design of the addition interior, but that's not a concern per se of yours. And then it's a 3-bay addition, plus it's also involving.
Wait, is this existing right here?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, it
That's
is?
like this.
Oh, I thought this was existing, but this is
No,
also.
Yeah, I didn't know,
both of
I
those are
thought
existing.
this was on,
No, both
Okay,
oh, okay.
so the new
What you're
part starts here.
talking about is an
Okay.
extension from here over.
Oh, alright.
So you're actually upgrading the windows. I was just, I couldn't understand why these windows were dressed and these weren't, but I understand. You're
Well, it's a new,
upgrading.
complete new addition as far as that's
That's
concerned.
why it's
We'll
wider.
be selling Center Street location, which is a 2-bay garage. The equipment that's in Center Street will be moved up. So 1.5 of those bays are already occupied per se, as far as that's concerned. And what it does is it centralizes all of our facilities. In addition.
Center Street's being closed down?
Pardon?
Center Street's closed down? Gonna be closed down?
Well, right now, it's basically used, we use it, we have secondary vehicles in there. We have the antique, but we also have a utility van and training equipment and stuff of that nature that is stored down there as far as that's concerned. We wanna bring it all up into one consolidated location. In addition, the new code requires that, because of the nature of the cancer that you've been reading about from 9/11, et cetera, and cancer is now starting to appear in the general population of southern, at least the preliminary reports of southern New York City, particularly the people who are coated with soot and everything else from 9/11. The requirements now for the state is we have to have a separate room for the turnout gear. Our protective gear has to be stored separately. We're putting in a washing machine that'll take 6 of those sets, so if we return from a fire where they've been covered, we have to throw them in the washing machine. There's gonna be washing facilities for the people, we're gonna put lockers in
That's a good
where they
thing.
can store old clothes, so that when they come back, they take off their current civvies, they wash those at the same time and put on the stuff that's in the locker, so a lot of this is
Yes.
bringing upgrades of, internally, it's not from your viewpoint, which is the architectural viewpoint, but just to give you an idea of what's going into the situation as far as that's concerned. What they had done was, initially, the architect made a mistake, well, not made a mistake, they changed the rules, and he put an additional 16-foot extension on the rear, which was not within the planning board. We had a discussion last Friday with the Sabrina, and she said, if you want that, you're gonna go back to the planning board from square one. We said, we don't want that. So we compromised, and she said she could take 3 feet. They redesigned this and reduced it to 3 feet, but I had a discussion with the designer, the architect today, and we think that what we can do is flat out get rid of that small addition and go back to the original one, which is a straight wall across the back of the property. The fire trucks will enter from the rear, coming off Memorial Place, There's a Memorial Place is about 3 feet higher than the level of the building itself.
Do the site plan, I mean, I know where Memorial Place is, I'm just kind of curious how the whole thing lays out. Cause I don't think of Memorial Place as kind of accessing.
Is that where the car wash is?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Oak Lane,
And
right
just,
here.
is this more accurate or is this more accurate?
This is more accurate,
Okay.
The rendering?
the rendering. And the brick, we will try and match as closely as we can with the existing brick that's in use.
Huh, so they're gonna leave here too, when they're,
No,
no, they're
we
just
go
gonna
out
come
the
back?
front.
Okay, so you come out, interesting, alright.
The east elevation, so this is from the Bedford Road that we going to
That's-
see.
Right.
This
Yeah,
is
we're
what,
looking at.
117 there.
that's what we're going to see from Bedford.
We come in
This-
on
this
Memorial
elevation.
Place.
Yes?
Yes.
This is the elevation.
No, this is
No,
existing,
the-
that's a,
the-
No, this elevation.
Yeah,
We're
that's
going to
not
see
Bedford.
from
But it won't,
Bedford
no,
Road.
you'll see it from
it's
this
this.
little
The
street.
floor of the fire addition
Memorial.
is gonna be the same level as the addition next to it.
This is
Oh.
that.
In other words, all of that
This
stuff
is
that you
different. This
see,
is the part that's new.
all you see there is
No,
basically at
just
the same elevation.
You know, this is what you see from the street. From Bedford Road,
So do you see this-
you
is this
see
all blank?
that, which is not really, it's,
Let's
it's
see, I
the
got-
main,
That's part of
it's
the
the
new
main
district.
road
Is
here,
this
okay?
accurate? This doesn't look
Doesn't make
finished.
any sense, cause there, how could, you wouldn't be, there are no doors or anything.
There's nothing there.
Well, I think it's this
It's
elevation.
this elevation.
No, I think it's this big blank elevation.
Well, this is the proposed
This would be the
building.
west elevation, which would be
That's the
facing
proposed.
So it's
Uh,
this.
Out towards,
Right, so it's
This
this,
here,
It's
no,
right
this
here.
is,
Looking
this
from
is the
here.
elevation as it
but it's,
stands right.
this is the big blank wall we're seeing, right? So what we're concerned about is that wall, is it that wall?
Yes,
That's,
And it's-
that's,
is
that's
this
the
really
new
truly
building.
the east side too.
Is it really
Other
truly
side.
blank? Like
This is
that?
west.
Right here.
No, I look
And
That's
next
the
door,
way.
I know.
he's
West
designed
and
it.
east
Yeah,
are
no, no.
both blank.
Yeah, we would want all of the elevations of the building to have
The
a certain nice
elevations are the
presence.
same.
Well, no, this elevation, I'm saying, we would want not only this elevation, but the reverse side, to have, sort of an aesthetic character as opposed to.
I'm not sure.
Right, so basically, it seems like this was very thoughtfully designed,
Okay, but
okay?
what I'm saying
This
is,
elevation.
the front levels of both of these buildings
Right.
are exactly the same.
No,
Yeah, we understand that.
get
We're good
everything.
with this
We
front
understand
ele-
that
this
this
elevation.
elevation is really nicely designed, matching the existing building. However, when you look the building from the four sides, not only one side, but the
Right.
other sides, it does not have the same quality of
Articulation.
articulation,
Detail.
architectural articulation, especially this one.
Needs to look good from all
neither
sides.
that one. But it's almost like you, the architect concentrated on one side of the building, and the others are kind of
Well, the side facing
residual.
to the east, basically is a, let's see, I gotta stop and think now, which is the east.
So this is the one actually bad.
Why don't you just show it on the, look on the site
On
plan
the
and just show
plan.
us what you can just point to the side instead of calling it.
Alright, this one here, this side here would be this side that's here. And as it's,
You mean this one, yeah?
this one there, right. And this one here only has the one door, has two, well, it's got three doors and that's it, basically. I'm not sure what he's got for the second floor.
How is that
Just a
space,
big black wall.
Eric, how is that space used?
This is the storage for all the turnout gear,
This
and this is the
And
access.
it's three floors high? Is it
Two
showing-
floors.
Okay,
In other words, where there are no windows over here, as far as that's concerned, it'll be the red brick, like
Right,
you
right,
see
so
there.
this is this one.
Right.
This is
Now, the only question would be,
Can I see what's inside?
yeah, sure, go ahead.
So the lockers are all the way up here.
Oh yeah, I don't know what's on the second floor.
No, that's the second floor.
That's the second floor.
So what's
Right.
What's above the
what's up,
storage
what's
on the
here?
second floor?
What is here? Can we have windows or?
I don't know, we're not even sure we're gonna finish the second floor, depends upon how the
Right,
figures
but
come
that's
in.
still
But
going
from
to
the
be a space.
exterior, we still
From the
need-
It's still going to
exterior
be a
at this point,
space.
I just don't know at this
Okay, basically, I know that you were just here to take one another's pulses, and
Right.
from an aesthetic standpoint, what you've rendered, what the architect has developed, as opposed to doesn't know what they're
Right.
developing, stylistically, in terms of detail, like, we're good. And so, generally, when people bring plans, we're just like scrutinizing the details, but it doesn't sound like the architect in your case has worked out the details, it's not, so if you were
Partly
to
because you
come-
don't know what you're doing with it.
Well-
if you were to come back, listen, if you were
With
to
the
come
bond
back.
issue involved.
Absolutely.
The question that we're talking about is when they
You
come
don't know
down
what
with
kind
the
of
bond
money you
issue,
have.
whether the main thing we gotta do is the first floor.
Right.
Question of whether we design the second floor depends upon the bond issue, because it was turned down before, so we're taking a hard look. We're doing nothing in the older section at all.
Fair enough, but if
you know.
you build it, you have to sort of articulate.
I
it.
understand that.
So we're just saying that if you were to come back with this, we'd be like, no, so.
You
but
want
we're
some
just
more
assuming-
details?
Yeah,
Fine,
we're
I'll-
assuming that the back will be designed as the front is designed, you haven't gotten there yet, and it doesn't make any sense
Even if
to.
you don't have a very defined program for this space, it's still going to be a space.
Yes.
Somehow it's going to be used by you.
Eventually, the answer is yes,
So maybe you may want to
but
have
may-
daylight.
The answer is that let's see, on the back though, I
Well, they
think
have
it does-
windows on the back.
They have windows on the back.
No, but I'm talking.
Yeah, no, I know, I agree,
When the time
but I'm
comes
saying
and
they
you
already.
finish
Yeah.
it, you
If they're-
figure it out.
So
You
basically-
should just know that this isn't the
Okay.
level of sort of
Right.
design that
Alright.
we're happy
the-
with, but this
But the
starts to
front
do.
is.
Yeah, this
the way
undesigned
it
space
was
So
already
what I'll
has
do is
windows
tell him to
in the
design
back.
some more elaboration on the
Windows,
designing of it.
windows,
Yeah, you're
so
looking-
that he
yeah.
looks at the other elevations and spaces, think about the spaces behind, the same way he thought on this side of the building.
Okay, but
So it has
what I'm simply saying
harmonious-
is when you talk about elevation, essentially everything is flat on the first floor, second floor lines up on the flat. The only difference being is that this is has a slightly higher roof because it's a slightly longer space.
Right.
So therefore, the roof goes up a little bit higher. But
Well, I think
It's really more
by
about the
elevation,
details.
we mean the view,
Just the
this is an
facade.
elevation,
This
Okay.
is the facade.
not the floor elevation.
I understand,
Oh, okay.
but, you know.
Okay. But I mean, also what I'd like to see is, those drawings don't match this. That side elevation doesn't match this rendering. I mean,
Which one?
the one that Travis is looking at. That top elevation has all sorts of setbacks and step backs, it looks like.
Yeah, then it's not showing up in the rendering, but that's,
Well, it's not, but that is a vastly
No, it
different
is,
massing.
it is
Than
in the
this.
rendering, in the context that this is recessed in for these front doors.
I know, but I see 1, 2, 3, 4 setbacks, like significant setbacks on that elevation, that I don't think could possibly come from this rendering.
Is that where the opening is?
Where's the bridge? This is the south elevation, this is the south elevation, where's the bridge?
He said this
This
was
is old,
old.
this is old.
This
See,
is
I think
old.
this is old and I think
He
that is old.
said we should follow this.
Right,
So
but when you come
plans
back,
haven't been made, I mean, they must exist,
when you come back, they should all match because that,
Right.
the rendering and the
but you know, the architect may.
But you have good feedback from.
Okay, I can bounce it back at him, you know, I mean,
So
I
how
mean,
did you
he'll
come to be using someone so far away?
Where is
Guy
this,
Bill's,
where is
the
Ward?
guy Bill's,
Fire station.
fire
Fire
station.
stations.
Okay.
Where is that?
Perfect.
He's built
That's what he
so
does, is
many
he builds
fire
nothing but
stations.
fire stations.
Yeah.
Yeah, that must be
Where
good.
is this though, Fort?
He's further north somewhere, I forget, isn't he?
He's in Poughkeepsie, I think,
I need to
or
refer to-
Mayapack, I forget which.
Oh, not that
The
far.
most
He's not that
recent-
far away,
The
he's,
most recent one he did in our area is Peekskill, if you've ever seen that. So I think it's really nice.
No.
and he's working on one in Poughkeepsie.
Makes sense, have a specialist do it, we were just curious, cause you know,
Well, the problem being is with the health codes and
Right,
the,
they need to
Yeah.
know all those
um,
details.
you know, and the other things in the washing machines and all this rest of that stuff that's now becoming required. Procedures we follow on the fire trucks right now are gonna require some major departmental changes. Basically, those who enter into a fire scene will have to take their turnout gear off, bag it, and bring it back in bags. And then the stuff has to be washed. Because what they're doing is they're finding, the studies that are coming down are finding a tremendous amount of cancerous compounds being thrown off, and then in addition, some of the higher, more volatile ones are absorbed by the turnout gear and actually soak through to the skin and can get into the skin, so therefore, that's why they, when you bring it back, you gotta clean it, so. It's a whole different world out there.
So what I'm understanding is, you don't wanna see a brick wall facing Memorial Drive.
No, well, that's not.
Anywhere,
No,
we
we're-
don't wanna see blank,
anywhere.
we don't wanna see
They're
blank.
talking towards the neighbors up the hill.
No,
But
we're
no,
talking about
all-
everywhere.
Okay.
All
We are,
sides.
it is a sort of a
Okay.
holistic, no blank
Right.
brick wall kind of
Okay.
situation, because, I mean, except, you know, under very functional circumstances occasionally,
Alright, so the answer is what?
you know. It just has to look good from all
This
sides.
building though is
Okay. well,
viewable from all sides.
But on the back,
Bob Mitchell.
we've got the doors on the back and we've also got there's windows above that. Because this is gonna be a training area, there's gonna be a porch up there, which we'll be using for rappelling down and ladder work and stuff of that nature. Along this part here, which has windows and stuff of that nature. So, we're adapting that as part of the training program.
What I think the architect has to understand from our standpoint is that the back of this building is maybe just a little side street, but it's not like woods, it's a side street where it's actually visible as you're coming down Main Street of the town. So it's really, it's an unusually,
I don't think you're gonna see the back doors.
not the back, you'll see the back facade, so it's an unusually visible back of a fire station, and he may not be accustomed to thinking about the backs of fire stations very much, but this one he has to think
Are
about.
those stores going to remain there?
What stores?
Which stores?
No, no,
On
stores on the,
Memorial?
across the street.
No, I'm talking about on Memorial.
Memorial, no, everything that's on Memorial
Is
stayed
it
there.
closed down?
No,
No, that
when
little
you go-
side
When you
street.
go down Memorial, on the left there are stores, and on the right it's just like an empty lot now.
Well,
Back
there's
of the
a
fire
there's a,
station.
there's a Con Ed,
Just a car
there's a
wash.
Con Ed
With a car
supply
wash,
section,
and
a
then
car
there were
wash,
a
and then you
couple
got
little
the
stores.
Oak Lane, children's thing down at the
There was a
end.
tailor, there was
And they're
a.
still there, that's the other side.
That's on the other
That's
side.
the other, but isn't that the entrance?
Here, this is,
I
these
mean,
are
the back
these are the
entrance?
ones
No.
you're talking about.
Yeah, yeah.
This is
So
the,
they're still there.
But the entrance is across the
that's
street
that's the
from
car wash over
No,
there.
I understand where the entrance
This
is.
is Con Ed right
that.
here.
But why would these guys have to be torn down?
I thought
No,
they
they
were,
wouldn't.
I thought
No.
that was back entrance,
This
okay.
would be the diner and stuff like, the pizza, the hamburger place. My understanding is this building is gonna be torn down anyhow, it's under
Really?
development.
Ah,
And just like the,
Steve Tavalacci probably bought it.
just like the one just beyond it, where they had the fire, and used to be the,
Yeah,
Florida.
yeah, where they're putting up the new.
where they're putting up
project.
that building on
Yeah.
that. This one here is a small, used to be Harold Campbell Engineering, but it's used for business of some sort. And then this down here is the Oak Lane Nursery. But what we're doing is we're returning from a fire, we'll drive down Memorial, swing into the back, pull into the thing, and then when we exit for fires, we go out the front doors directly onto 120.
Seems like a good
And,
circulation pattern.
pardon?
Seems like a good
No, that's why I was
circulation
wondering
pattern.
why stores
Well,
were
that's what the
remaining.
planning board demanded.
Because they are going in there.
Smart people.
We're going in.
Well, they're.
Well, I think we
going in,
designed it that
coming
way,
out
but that's
this
what
way.
they
Yeah, but
told
you're going
us
to-
we were gonna do
I
anyhow, you know,
but
so.
I still think they would need more room.
Ah.
There's parking, people park there in front of those.
Where?
I see what you're saying.
Well, people used to park right here, I don't know if they do anymore, there was the little
I think
section where
there's,
people
I think
park.
there's still space to park in
Oh,
one
really?
row. You know, I mean, we're not, the trucks don't take up, they take up a full 8 feet, but I mean, there's an adequate road as long as, you know. So basically what we'll do is when this is built, we end up moving our three first line equipment into there. The aerial ladder, the rescue truck, and one of the pumpers. We'll then, over here, we'll have the second and third pumpers, and we may be long-term buying a tanker, because we service Mount Pleasant where there's no hydrants. So we'll have 3 pumpers, 1 rescue, 1 ladder, and 1 pumper, ultimately. Probably long after I'm dead, but that's beside the point.
Okay.
Alright, Okay,
Thank you.
yeah, cool. Thank you.
All right, so we'll get some.
And thanks for all you do.
I just mentioned one more thing. So an architect friend of mine suggested that right above here, it says Chappaqua Fire Department. Is that something that you folks would like?
Oh, I think that was great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We'll get you more.
That'll be part of
We
the
want the same thing
overall
for all
plan,
the
yeah.
sides.
So we're trying to match it as much as possible with the existing buildings. But I gotta find out how much they're gonna tell us it's gonna cost and,
More than they tell you.
well,
Yeah, it's really funny.
the problem being is that the cost of municipal buildings, I've been looking at some of them, and they're going forth, and of course, you know what happened in Mount Kisco and Bedford got turned down and they're now back out for rebid, et cetera, and we talked to Peekskill about what they spent and things of that nature, so with these environmental concerns that are being demanded, and then that washing equipment, et cetera, does not come cheap. When we get through with all that type of stuff, you know, I hate to think what it's gonna be a square foot. Not gonna be cheap. But we'll get some offset hopefully from the sale of Center Street.
Plumbing and electric.
So, Center, that was an interesting switch to downtown.
Well, there's some pros and cons. There have been a lot of people who've queried us about it. At this point, we just hired an appraiser to determine what the value of it is. The question would be if the existing change in zoning for the higher zoning in the business sector goes through, then the answer is it may be a benefit to consider that with the gentleman who owns the Lutheran church and the upholstery shop. To
Isn't
consider.
the Greeley House sort of in the middle, or do they
Greeley
meet
House is
behind
gonna
it?
sort of be landlocked on that corner
Okay,
by whatever it goes forth.
goes around it, like,
Yeah.
well, we're definitely not gonna look too kindly on a big monster, but whatever. Oh, I won't be here just.
Well, I happen to,
It matters.
I built my
Yeah, it still
building.
matters, right, just give up.
No, I mean, I should just shut up and stop grandstanding.
Yeah,
because,
I built 3 of the buildings that are in the business section. Mine, the Wells Fargo building and the hardware store. I was the GC and,
You're the GC for the hardware store.
yes, I also had an interest in it in those days. Till I got divorced and that took care of that one. But what I'm saying is that we put in pilings on all of those. Mine is the deepest down to 55 feet. The rest of them, the hardware store is about 35 feet on piling. So anything that you're talking about in terms of this new zoning is gonna require heavy piling work to be done. And I'm not sure if then to turn around and support 4 or 5 stories on top of that, it's gonna involve tearing down a lot of stuff before you can even start building again, so.
Soils
Well,
are
good
bad,
luck
huh?
with everything.
Huh?
The soils are that bad, huh?
Basically,